Welcome back for lesson 2. Today we're going to talk about your basic setup. In time we're going to get into building lessons and whatnot, but before we do that we need to talk about setting it up and making it a little bit more personalized as far as what you want to get out of Canvas. So to do that, let me bring up my suggestions I put up here for me. Hold on. There we go. Things we need to talk about here. To do that, first thing I want to point out is that in Canvas, everything's going to be laid out as a course. So your class periods, this is a big advantage over Google Classroom. Your class periods are built in as what we call sections underneath the course. So I can take and say click on my advanced math class right here, and then from here I'm going to take and click on grades. And on grades, you can see up along the top, I have an option for first period, and I have an option for fourth period. Those are sections. Or I can take and click and see all the sections, all the periods at one time. So that is how you will actually view your sections or your class periods and get grades in for each section if you're using Canvas for your grading platform. Some other things Canvas has to work for you there. You've got a calendar. You can see the calendar link is on the far left hand side, and you can see that in my calendar I've got 3 different courses going. I've got my algebra that is red. I've got my, I believe my advanced math, my regular math is blue, and my advanced math is listed as green. When a day passes, the calendar automatically puts a line through those assignments because those due dates have passed. And then everything else you can see here what I've got coming up for the next week in each of my 3 classes, what I'm expecting the students to be turning in to me. You also have an inbox. Now I am not a huge fan of the inbox in Canvas. The reason I'm not a huge fan of it is because it doesn't give you that instant notification when you get a message. Now if you're using the Canvas app on your phones, it does better. But if you're not using the Canvas app and have those notifications turned on, you don't get a message from your kid saying, hey, Mr. Reach, I got a question. And as a result, you end up getting students that ask a question and it could actually be days before you even see it. Because of this, I tell my students, email me. Instead of sending me a message in Canvas, I ask them to email me directly because my email goes ding every time they do it. I have it on my phone and I know that a student needs me and I can get back to them immediately. And I'm big on answering my students' questions no matter when they contact me. As long as I'm awake, they're going to get an answer from me pretty quick if I can. We also have in Canvas something called the Commons. You can see here on the left hand side, the Commons is a magnificent resource. You can get in there and search out all kinds of stuff that has been there. It's depending on what you teach. So maybe you want to do a lesson on, I don't know, Egypt. So let's just type in Egypt. And here are tons of lessons that have already built for you on Egypt with images and all kind of quizzes and cool stuff that you can download straight into your course. That is a wonderful resource if you're, particularly if you're not that creative or if you're in a time pinch. You need something, you don't have it ready, and or you all of a sudden your school system just adopted Canvas and now you've got to build up lessons for everything. The Commons can be a great place to find some really wonderful lessons. And finally, the last thing on the left hand side here I want to show you is Studio. Canvas Studio is a place that you can make wonderful videos just like this one I have. You can set it up, you can see right up here on the top right hand side to record your screen, or you can add videos that you've already recorded someplace else. You can create collections of videos depending on the courses or topics that they're under, and all that gets saved right in Canvas. Canvas Studio, I've heard, I haven't proved this, I've heard it will also take and document how much of the video the students have watched, or should I say played, because I know that some of them will hit that play button and then turn and walk away from it and come back later and just to get the documentation. Oh yeah, Mr. Reach, I watched it, just checked, all my time's up. All that said, I've not been a huge fan of the image quality. I only did one video in Canvas Studio that you can see there, and I found that when I uploaded it that way, my image quality kind of went down. What I generally like to do is I put my videos as a video file in my Google Drive, and then I link my class page to the Google Drive and have my students see it that way. And I will show you later on how to do that. Now, the last thing we need to talk about for this lesson is the settings. What settings do you want to set up? So I've gone into one of my classes, and actually that's not the class I want to set. I'm going to go back here and we're going to go in and look at the Canvas training class. And on the left hand side, we're going to scroll all the way down the bottom. Boom, there's my settings. And under settings, you've got lots of choices. So let's start off with course details. I would encourage you to put some kind of a photo up for your course. Don't you love my beautiful self-portrait I have there? You've got the proper course name and the short course name that you can put in there. You can also take and see other information, what time zone, when the course starts, when the course ends. These things your school system will probably put in for you, and restrict students from viewing after the course. My school system set it up that way, so I'm not going to mess with what they chose to set up. Now, scrolling on down, you see lots of other options here. Some other things you may want to consider. The visibility, is it a public institution or what? It's just a course, I left it as that. But what I really want to show you down here at this point is, we talked about this in the last lesson, you've got that URL that you can set up so that students can self-enroll. Depending on what your school system says, this is a great way to put new students into the class. You just have to click on that link, let students self-enroll by secret URL. And from there we can keep right on rolling and check out some other stuff here. So how many announcements do you want them to show? Things of that nature. Do you want to allow students to attach files to discussions? That could be good, or it could turn into a meme war. Do you want students to be allowed to create their own discussion topics? I like that, as long as they're doing discussions about what they're supposed to. Things that you can see your other choices here that you have. Now, going back up to the next, we've got sections, and sections are what we would know as class periods. So you can set up different class periods if your school system didn't do it for you already. Under navigation, you can take and have what you want shown and what you don't want shown. For example, my students don't need access to the people, so I'm going to grab the people by its three dots here. Excuse me, I just grab it anywhere, and I'm going to drag it all the way down into that section, and that's now going to be hidden from the students. So when I refresh this screen, where right now you see people is visible, I'm going to refresh it, and well, people are still visible. Not sure why that didn't go away. Because I didn't hit save. Whoops. Let's try that again. So let's take people, drag it down here, and hit save, and boom, now you can see people drop to the bottom and it is no longer visible. You can also rearrange the order of things. So I like modules to be all the way up top underneath my home page. Hit save on that, and now you can see right there modules, which is where the students are going to spend most of their time, is right up under home page. Grades I like to have next, and so on, so you can lay it out any way that you want it to be done. Beyond that, there's apps that you can install. I honestly can't tell you a lot about those, but it's different resources that work well with Canvas. For example, Google Drive or Google Classroom. Let's see what comes up for Google. Google Apps is one that is already installed for us and allows our kids to get a direct link to their Google stuff or to Google stuff we've put up. And then finally, from there, you've got this other information that you can take and scroll through and just read through it on your own. I'm not going to do all this for you and tell you what you should and shouldn't, because a lot of this is very much an individual opinion. Now, the last thing I do want to find here is I want to find notifications. So give me just a second, and because that is something that we definitely want to talk about. Hold on just a second, let me find it. Alright, I just remembered where they are. That's actually under account settings. So I clicked on account on the top left, and then under account I can click on notifications. And when you do that, look at all the choices you have of things you can get notified for. Now, if you put all of those things as a check mark, and particularly if you're using the Canvas app, you're going to have your phones explode with constant notifications. So scroll through here and pick what you feel is important for you, and what's important for you may not be what's important for the students. For example, the students may benefit them whenever a calendar update's made, so let them know, hey, a new assignment's been posted, or an assignment's been changed. But you may not need that because you know you're the one changing the calendar, and you don't want to get notified every time you change the calendar. Alright, that is it for today on this particular lesson. We're just giving a little familiarization on things you can choose to get into, or set up to personalize your account the way you need it. We will come back here shortly with another one, and I hope you're finding this stuff useful.